Max Verstappen more likely to stay at Red Bull after Christian Horner exit? F1 analysis. The Verstappen saga takes unexpected turn. F1 champion more inclined to remain with Red Bull following Horner's dramatic departure. Max Verstappen's future in Formula One has taken a surprising twist that few industry insiders predicted. According to respected analyst and former driver Martin Brundle, the four-time world champion is now more inclined to maintain his position with Red Bull Racing, following the unexpected dismissal of long-standing team principal Christian Horner. This development completely reshapes the chessboard of F1 driver movements that had been speculated for months. In a sudden organizational earthquake that sent shockwaves through the paddock, Horner was removed from his dual role as Red Bull Racing CEO and team principal on July 9, with the change taking effect immediately. Laurent Mekies, who previously headed the Racing Bulls team, has stepped in to fill the leadership vacuum. While official statements have remained deliberately vague about the precise reasons behind Horner's abrupt departure, industry observers note it coincided with a challenging period for the team's on-track performance and a particularly public and bitter conflict between Horner and Jos Verstappen, Max's outspoken father and former F1 driver himself. Before this dramatic management upheaval, the younger Verstappen had been the subject of intense speculation regarding a potential move to the Mercedes garage. This wasn't mere paddock gossip. Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff openly acknowledged ongoing discussions with the Dutch racing phenomenon. Though Wolff downplayed the likelihood of securing Verstappen for the 2026 season, he purposefully left the door ajar for future possibilities. But here's where it gets interesting. The removal of Horner may have fundamentally altered this trajectory. Speaking to Sky Sports News after the announcement, Brundle offered his assessment of how Horner's exit might influence Verstappen's decision-making process. It perhaps makes it more probable that the Verstappens, both Jos and Max, will remain with the organization. I believe the conflict had evolved into something quite personal, the veteran analyst explained. Brundle further elaborated on Verstappen's deep-rooted connection to the Red Bull operation. Every single championship point, podium finish, and race victory Max has achieved through his extraordinary driving talent has been accomplished in a Red Bull vehicle. He's repeatedly expressed his desire to complete his racing career with Red Bull if circumstances permit. Adding complexity to the situation is Red Bull's ambitious technical project on the horizon. They're preparing to debut their proprietary power unit next year, representing the most significant simultaneous transformation of both car and engine technology in Formula One history, Brundle noted. Christian had been completely directing that aspect of the team's development. A critical factor in this unfolding drama centers around contractual details that could determine Verstappen's immediate future. Max possesses an exit provision in his contract that activates based on his standing in the World Championship rankings at the conclusion of this month, Brundle revealed. Does this leadership change suggest he's more likely to depart or stay? Based on my analysis, I can only conclude it increases the probability of him remaining with the team. When addressing Horner's departure directly, Brundle acknowledged that the development, while significant, wasn't entirely unexpected. It is not completely shocking, considering the internal challenges facing the team. I find it rather unfortunate. I regard Christian as a personal friend, and his contributions over 2 decades have been truly remarkable. Brundle paid tribute to Horner's legacy at Red Bull. He secured countless race victories and world championships for both drivers and the constructor. He transformed what was originally the Stewart organization and later Jaguar into an extensive operational headquarters in Milton Keynes, achieving tremendous success and accumulating an impressive collection of trophies. The analyst concluded with an observation about the team's internal dynamics that had become increasingly apparent to those within the F1 community. It's not particularly difficult to sense within the Formula One paddock, and to witness and hear, that the atmosphere was not especially harmonious. As this situation continues to evolve, the big question remains. Will Verstappen's loyalty to the team that built his career outweigh the uncertainty created by losing the architect of Red Bull's dominant era? Or might this leadership vacuum create the perfect opportunity for Mercedes to finally lure away the sport's most coveted talent? What do you think? Is Verstappen making the right move by likely staying with Red Bull during this period of transition? Or should he be considering fresh opportunities elsewhere? The debate is just beginning. Max Verstappen's Red Bull exit? Guenther Steiner's insight on 2026 team shift. Guenther Steiner shares insights on Max Verstappen's potential departure from Red Bull Racing. In the world of Formula One, change is often the only constant, and the latest buzz revolves around the future of Max Verstappen with Red Bull Racing. Former Haas team principal Guenther Steiner has recently shed light on the timeline regarding Verstappen's possible exit from the team, particularly with rumors swirling about a move to Mercedes in 2026. But here's where it gets controversial. Mercedes driver George Russell has openly stated that discussions about extending his contract are currently on hold, primarily due to the ongoing negotiations between his team and Verstappen. Toto Wolff, the team principal at Mercedes, has acknowledged the interest in acquiring the four-time world champion. However, he also suggested that it is unlikely Verstappen will make a team switch in 2026. Red Bull is currently facing challenges with its RB21 F1 car, while McLaren's Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris are showing impressive performances in the 2025 championship. Although Verstappen is still in the running for the title, Red Bull must significantly enhance their car's performance to help him clinch his fifth championship. Adding to the uncertainty surrounding Verstappen's future is the recent departure of Red Bull's team principal, Christian Horner. Despite Verstappen's contract extending until the end of 2028, the landscape of Formula One is shifting dramatically, with new regulations set to take effect next year, introducing cars that will utilize a balanced mix of electric power and internal combustion engines. Predicting the competitive hierarchy for 2026 has become a daunting task. Steiner has expressed that it would be a risky move for Verstappen to change teams after the 2025 season, especially with the significant reset that the new regulations will bring. He anticipates that the 27-year-old driver will likely evaluate Red Bull's performance next year, before making any decisions about his future. In a recent interview with TalkSport, Steiner was asked about the possibility of Verstappen leaving Red Bull. He stated, "I would say yes at any point. I don't think for next year. My take is he will stay where he is next year to see how the cars next year are with the new regulations, new engines, new cars, everything is new. Nobody really knows who is where, who will be good, no idea. So if you make a change now you take a big risk, and at this stage I think he maybe stays where he is for next year, and maybe end of next year he sees how the card stack, who has a good car, and then tries to get in the best car. And normally, if you are the best driver you have a chance to get in the best car because they are the people who want you. And he's a very wise guy, very well advised by his father and his manager. And I think he just waits it out for next year. End of next year. He'll make a decision where he will be going for 27. This raises an intriguing question. Will Verstappen's patience pay off? Or will he find himself in a position where he needs to make a bold move? As fans and followers of the sport, we are left to ponder the implications of these developments. What do you think? Should Verstappen stay with Red Bull and see how the new regulations play out? Or is it time for him to seek new challenges? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Max Verstappen's future after Red Bull drama. Insights and predictions for F1 2026. In the midst of the Red Bull turmoil, what should Max Verstappen do for F1 2026? Our writers share their thoughts. The question on everyone's mind lately is whether Verstappen will leave Red Bull before his contract ends in 2028, and the recent sacking of Christian Horner as Formula One team boss only adds to the uncertainty. Mercedes has been openly courting Verstappen, while rumors also link the four-time F1 world champion to a reunion with Adrian Newey and Honda at Aston Martin. With Horner's departure as Red Bull F1 team CEO and team principal, Verstappen has a new factor to consider in his future plans. So, what should Verstappen do for 2026? Let's hear from our writers. Verstappen can use 2026 to evaluate the performance across the grid. Mark Manbrians. With the major regulation changes coming in 2026, the performance of all 11 teams on the grid will be a mystery until the first test sessions. Formula One history is full of examples of World Championship winning drivers making the wrong decision on their next move and ending up in uncompetitive machinery, locked into a contract that does not allow them to fight at the front of the field. Verstappen has clauses in his Red Bull deal that can work in his favor if he wants or needs to get out, so he should stay put for now and see how things play out. What would be the point in switching to Mercedes if it gets it wrong all over again and is then forced to play catch-up? Or pin all of his hopes on Adrian Newey being an instant success in delivering a winning car to Aston Martin? If those things and many others play out against the backdrop of Red Bull struggling, Those teams will always find space for Verstappen. He is just too good not to. Mercedes a safer bet for Verstappen. But what does Horner's departure mean? Ronald Voording. The first question Verstappen has to answer regarding his future is whether he is willing to potentially give up 2026. If the answer is yes, then the driver market looks wide open for 2027, with potential options at Mercedes, Aston Martin, and maybe even Ferrari. By then, Verstappen will have a clear picture of the pecking order under the new regulations. But if Verstappen isn't willing to wait, there are two ways to look at his decision for 2026. Purely from a performance perspective, Mercedes seems a safer bet than Red Bull. Horner noted there is no guarantee Verstappen can win with a Mercedes engine, but added it would be embarrassing for the German brand if Red Bull were ahead of them. It's very unlikely for a newcomer to beat Mercedes straight away, looking at the track record of the German manufacturer. If Verstappen wants the most competitive package, then jumping ship before 2026 seems a sensible thing to do. But the current situation might be more complex than that. With Horner gone and Marko still there, one can say Red Bull has created an environment the Verstappens would like. And if that's the case, then it would be strange from a more personal and political point of view to leave. Verstappen has been very loyal to the Red Bull family so far. But for 2026, the more personal and political factors might clash with the purely sporting ones. 2027 will provide Verstappen with more knowledge and opportunities to stick or twist Stuart coddling. There will come a time when we look at Verstappen and wonder whether he's still got it. But that point is long in the future. For now, Verstappen has time on his side. From a purely pragmatic point of view, setting aside issues of personal loyalty to Helmut Marko and other aligned figures in the Red Bull sphere, he potentially has more to lose than gain by leaving at the end of the season. To do so would be launching himself into the unknown, and laying himself open to the kind of poor timing which has restricted Fernando Alonso to just 2 world championships. For all the word in the paddock that suggests Mercedes has the most advanced engine project for the new 2026 technical package, who knows if it can wrap a decent car around it. Serial failures in the ground effect era have tarnished the memory of those 7 consecutive world championships. Far better to take stock next season. If Red Bull's trajectory doesn't change, he will likely be in the same position as he is now in 12 months. And there will be many more opportunities for 2027. After all, nobody will be questioning his speed or commitment. Verstappen will need patience over the next 12 months. Philip Clearan. There is only one legitimate reason why Verstappen would ever want to move teams, and that all boils down to performance. If Red Bull can give him a winning car, or convince him that a competitive machine is within reach even if it were to start 2026 on the back foot, then I don't see why Verstappen would leave the familiar environment he has enjoyed working in so much and feels at home in. Red Bull's high-profile staff departures are a huge concern, and its new powertrains division is a question mark. So incoming team principal and CEO Laurent Mekies will have his work cut out to restore confidence from the Verstappens that Milton Keynes is still the place to be after its car performance and handling worsened, much to Verstappen's frustration. Meanwhile, it is tempting to buy into the hype around Mercedes' new power units, and no doubt Verstappen and his team will be busy trying to parse through what little reliable information there is about 2020's XS engines and their relative potential. But the simple truth is that nobody knows what 2026 will have in store, so it is best to wait it out and see in March who is really ahead of the game and who isn't, and whether there is a pathway for Red Bull to get on top if it is indeed behind. The performance clauses that can be triggered this summer are understood to still be there next year, so getting out of an uncompetitive Red Bull will never be a huge problem. But if he were to join Mercedes for 2026 and the team turns out to be off the pace, then what does he do? Mercedes will likely want to tie F1's dominant driver up for a more watertight, long-term contract, so it would be very unlikely for Verstappen to be able to walk away as easily as he can do now. And amid all the chatter about Mercedes, it might not even be the Brackley team that is ahead next year, but say, Aston Martin, which could lead to a reunion with Adrian Newey and Honda after all. The smart money is on staying for 2026.